My name's Emmerson Konjolka. I'm in my second year in my Associates of Science with a specialization in biology, and I've been on the Air Venture in Indonesia and the Costa Rica Field School.
My name's Colton Dubé. I'm a student in criminology here, and I've done the Spain study abroad trip, the 3-month-long one. Then I did the Indonesia field school, and then I did the Costa Rica Field School trip as well. I thought this one was awesome. This one's right up your alley. I know why you did it.
The reason I'm in an Associates of Science here at Douglas College is I knew I wanted to pursue ecology in some way, shape, or form, but I didn't know where I wanted to specialize in that. And doing this Costa Rica Field School and even Air Venture in the past, it really gave me an idea of what I wanted to do with my education in the future. Getting your hands dirty in these amazing, incredible places and having such unique experiences is really instrumental in not only my learning, but in my decision for education in the future.
Yeah, I thought this was a great opportunity to go and learn about another culture. I'd done a couple study abroads before and thought this was another one I could tack up onto the list before I graduate. And it was a really great opportunity too, just happening during the winter semester. It lined up really well for me, and so I applied for it and managed to get in. And it was amazing just to go and experience, one, nice weather in the winter, and then two, be able to experience the culture and really how they live differently over there.
There's a huge difference between learning about these sorts of things in the classroom versus going out into the field and learning about them hands-on. And being able to do a lab in a place that is so biodiverse was really incredible, and actually getting to see great examples of all of these specimens that we learn about in 1110.
Not us.
Was so normal about all of the stuff there, actually. I was really chill.
Saw a sloth.
Sloths. Oh my god, harlequin beetle. Yeah.
So we were bunked together. I was bunked with 3 roommates who become the closest friends on the trip, honestly. They're complete strangers beforehand, and you just make best of friends with them by the end of the trip. And so we were in a room, and then everyone else was in other rooms around us. And in the morning we'd go for breakfast over at the lodge. We'd cross a bridge over a river and get this amazing food every single day. So much fruit. It was awesome. I came back and I felt like I was in withdrawal from pineapple and watermelon and everything that they had over there. It really was. It was an awesome. It was awesome accommodations-wise. Really was.
I was bunked with one other person. We were in a 2-bed little room. Each room had its own private bathroom. The showers there were crazy. The showers had like jets that blew out of the wall. It was incredible. It was kind of motel style in that all of the hallways were outside, but all of our rooms were completely enclosed. The other side of the river was so beautiful. The place where we had our breakfast every morning was outside. There was a roof over top of us, but there was open walls. And connecting all of the accommodations was covered walkways. And we were surrounded by rainforest at all times. We were walking distance from a local village, but even the village was surrounded by rainforest. Almost every morning, there were howler monkeys that would act as our alarm clock on the other side of the river, and it was just so incredible sharing the space with the wilderness like that. My highlights were definitely all of our walks with the guides. I got to speak to a lot of them and nerd out with a lot of them, to be honest. They were incredible and seemed to have superpowers. We would wander out into the rainforest, and from across the river, 100 yards away, they would point to a shape in the trees and go, "Oh, it's this animal," and then they'd set up their telescope and show us the animal, which we could not
like
see from that far.
An inch big.
Yeah,
it's just
tiny.
on a branch in the dark, an inch wide. Definitely the number one highlight was when we did the scavenger hunt, and we got to run all over the little area that we were. and go meet a whole bunch of the families, and they invited us into their homes, and we did either dancing, or we milked cows, or we made food with them, and it was just such a nice experience to be able to connect with the people who were actually living there. And a lot of them didn't speak English, so then we had to practice our Spanish in order to communicate with them, right? So that made it even more fun and more challenging, but like a fun type of challenging where you had to kind of try your best to understand what they were saying, then try to talk to them as well. The most challenging part was probably learning the new language, or trying to get to know the basics of a language, and then to communicate with locals that were there. I mean, it's like, when we speak English here, we speak it super fast and super fluently, and then I try to learn Spanish or any other language, and it's, you go and talk to a local and they're speaking just as fast as I would in English, and I've got no idea what they're saying, right? So it's slow down, so let me understand what you're saying, one step at a time, one word. So that was certainly a challenging part, but it's a fun type of challenging where you're learning a new language, you're going to be put in a place where people don't speak English, and you're going to have to rely on other tools to communicate, or you're just going to have to suck it up and pop on Duolingo for the month before the trip starts. But yeah, that's certainly a challenge, but certainly a fun challenge.
Another great challenge that I find for most of these study abroad programs is leaving. I make so many friends when I'm abroad every single time, and it's always so sad to part ways knowing I'm not going to see them for a very, very long time. And I've got so many contacts now from all around the world, and I love talking to my friends from all over. And yeah, I guess the way to overcome that is just to stay in contact and make plans to visit each other.
When it comes to being able to afford to go on these study abroads, there are a lot of scholarships that can help you. I know I've been on 3 different study abroad trips, and I've got some scholarships every single time. And really it just makes it like the cheapest travel that you'll ever do in your life, right? So it really is, you have to apply for the scholarships, see what you could do, and they offer it to, most people get funding. I think of this last trip, everybody who applied and got in got the funding, and that basically covered flights and then most of the program as well, or most program and then a little bit of flights. And so it really is an amazing experience to be able to travel, and then as long as you apply for the scholarships, the federal and provincial ones, and then the ones through global exchange here at Douglas, right? Chances are you can find a little bit of money to help offset the costs, right? So it really makes it a lot more affordable to a lot more students.
I have received 2 different scholarships for 2 of the trips I've been on as well. The first one, everything was covered, and I even had a little bit spending money abroad. For this one, the entire program fee was covered, and as well as a bit of my flights. And Douglas makes that really, really easy. Most of that application is done through the application through the portal. And yeah, there's just so many different avenues that you can get funding through that it's really shouldn't be a barrier for entry.
I was able to gain a deeper understanding of Costa Rican culture, an understanding of nature and how it the interconnectedness of everything. Be it with plant and animal life, or how their culture is so connected with nature and their surroundings. It really was cool to get that new perspective, and understand a different culture, and bring that back to Vancouver with me, where it is very different in terms of how we treat nature and how we see nature and what's around us.
I also gained a deeper understanding of the culture there. I gained some really amazing friends, and every time I travel, I feel like I learn a little bit more about how diverse each culture in our world is in a way that I could not learn from a textbook or from a movie or from a documentary. There's really no other way to really understand how different every part of the world is without going there. I found it really surprising how connected most of the people I met who were locals were with the nature around there. Almost everybody I talked to knew the plants and animals that surrounded them, knew their names, knew what they were good for in medicine and in food. And in general, all the locals I met down there were so much more connected with their surroundings than most people in North America are. Yeah.
As well as just like locals being connected with the nature, it's also how nature connects with itself as well. We learned there's so many different species and there's so many different insects, animals, plants, trees, and there was a reason for every single one. Every single plant had a species that it attracted, and every single species, relied on a certain plant as like a food source or as attracting another animal to be a food source, right? So it's really cool to see how everything kind of connected in nature. Knowing I'd never really looked at biology before, it was cool to kind of really see how it comes full circle and how, one specific plant or one specific animal and then one specific mutation of that goes here or there, or like the poison tree frogs we had that weren't poisonous in that region because the insects that they eat to create the poison doesn't exist in their diet in Chilemonte. So they had the same colors and they were super colorful and vibrant, but they just weren't poisonous. So it was a whole lot. It was so cool to kind of see how it all worked out.
One fact that I have brought home with me and tell anybody who I'm telling about my trip to Costa Rica is there's the same amount of variation in weather in a single day in the tropical rainforest as there is in an entire year here in Canada, which is, whoa, that's crazy.
You can take this one.
My goal with studying biology at Douglas is to pursue a career in ecology. And I actually got an interview recently for Vancouver Aquarium because of my study abroad experiences. They look really good on a resume.
I think the main takeaways that you can get from any traveling abroad is the intercultural communication that you gain by interacting with different cultures, by interacting with different people and different lifestyles. And the best part is that you don't even realize that that's what you're learning while you're there, because it's just so much fun to interact and talk and learn. And then you come back home and you've got all this experience that you can use for a future job. It looks great on a resume to say you've traveled abroad. Learn the basics of the language. Experience as much of the nature or the outside world beyond the classroom while you're there. Really, that's what makes a study abroad so important, right? So you're not just going to be in a classroom, and you don't want to just focus on the classroom aspect of it. You want to go out and explore, communicate with the locals, try some local food, find out you don't like the local food, and then try other local food, right? It really is just it's part of the study abroad experience. You want to go out and you want to experience everything that you possibly can while you're out and about.
Definitely do stuff outside of the programming. I've done some incredible things while abroad outside of the school trip, including going to Bali, taking public transit across Costa Rica, just incredible things. Like that bus ride through the mountains was awesome. Yeah, my advice is to just do it. The first study abroad program that I did, I was planning on coming to the Career Center and talking to the Career Center about something unrelated, and the career fair was there. And they went, hey, you should try this one, it's free. And I went, okay, awesome, I'll do that. And so I put in my application, and a couple months later, I was on the other side of the planet. You just take that jump and just do it, not to quote Nike. It's absolutely, absolutely worth it. I would do it again 1,000,000 times over.
"100% I recommend studying abroad. It's been some of the most fun I've had in school. Not to say that being stuck in a classroom isn't fun at all, but being able to be stuck in a classroom in a completely different country certainly brings a new light to it. A whole host of excitement and engagement that you don't get just coming to being in Vancouver versus being in Europe or Asia or Costa Rica, anywhere.
Studying abroad has definitely changed my life. Both programs were not only instrumental to my education, but to my personal growth. I was really, really nervous to study abroad the first time. But Douglas College made it really, really easy. I felt like my hand was held for every step of the way.
I 100% would do it again. I've done it again twice already, and I genuinely thought about extending my graduation to go do some of the trips that are happening in the summer because they look so awesome. Unfortunately, I can't because of work, but no, absolutely, I would want to do it again, and it's something I wish I had looked into in my first year rather than waiting until my third year to start doing it. But yeah, I would do it again in a heartbeat.
I would absolutely do it again. I've looked into doing the longer programs, the 3 to 6 month programs now, and I've also considered living abroad. Just seeing all of these places has really opened my eyes to how incredible the world is, and I'd love to get more of a taste of that.